So our next guest is the last member of the Premio del Veneto jury. And she is also from the Veneto region, of course. She works as a set designer and in Spain. And I would love to introduce Laura Doardo. Yeah, so the first question I would like to ask to Laura is a brief introduction of yourself and about your work here, and here and in general, and yeah, basically that as the first question.
So, hi, I'm Laura. Um, I'm from Piavisacco, a small town close to Padova. And actually, I think that something really important about myself is like that I've been growing in the countryside. And I saw my dad and my grandfather building things from scratch, from leftovers. And an experience that affected me a lot was to see them building from the structure of a washing machine the house of my dog. So since that moment, I was like, I want to build things. Um, so pretty early, I decided to study architecture. So I studied architecture in Venice, and then I did a master degree in Milan. And after that, I was like, I don't want to build or design houses for people because it's quite like a big responsibility, and I don't want to build things that last forever, that should be lasting forever. Um, so I started like studying by myself, like illustration, communication, and I started working as a communication designer in Milan and art director. Then I moved to Barcelona to start working in Apartamento. It's like a magazine and a publishing house, and also it has like a creative studio. So I've been there like for 1 year working as an art director, and then I was like, I'm still missing the fact that I'm building things. So I started working in set design, and actually I'm like feeling pretty lucky that I'm being able to merge things that I love to do in my free time and doing it as my job. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And yes, that's all of your experiences as an illustrator designer and such. It's what piqued our interest in researching roles for the jury. And actually, we thought that your perspective could be something that could enrich the festival in our mission of research. So I actually wanted to ask you, after studying and working in two different environments, being in the northern Italy and in Spain in Barcelona, I wanted to ask you what do you think are the main differences in approaching this kind of field of work, since it's very precise in concept and very precise in the field of knowing how to experience it. So I wanted to ask, what do you feel are the main differences in approaching this kind of work in the two different parts of Europe?
Okay. So I would say that Milan is quite like really focused on like working really hard and just like it's basically saying that you are your job, which is might be quite interesting but also like limit because you're always like performing something. And I felt like that Barcelona was quite really more free and um, also like the creative inspiration and like references are totally different. So at the beginning for me when I moved to Barcelona, when everyone was so focused with Miro and Picasso, and then I was like, I never thought about Picasso as a reference for a set design or for like a creative direction. So it was like at the beginning quite difficult, also like from the language side because they're like speaking Catalan and Spanish, and I was speaking in English, and was totally like quite frustrating sometimes. Um, but I don't know. I feel like the Barcelona is might be more open, and somehow Milan is like you should follow like a specific style or like a way to do things, and also like the two ways are like interesting because it's like I've been growing in the countryside. Then I moved to Milan where everything's like so fashion based, like design based, and then Barcelona is like more, let's say, punk, like quite alternative. So yeah, it was like interesting to yeah, exactly.
Thank you. And actually, that's also a link that I would love to ask you about your work that you did here as a juror, because it's not very often we get the chance to have like, in a way, set designers to judge our movies. And I also think that also for you was the first experience to be in a jury in any kind. So I wanted to ask you first the experience of being in a jury and watching these movies, and how do you feel that your work influenced the way you watched them? And if you're and actually, and as a last one, like, what is next in your path? If you think you're gonna stay in Barcelona, or you think you're gonna grow after 1 year of experience, and you want to follow further experiences elsewhere.
Okay, so for me, like judging movies was like I don't know how to do it. So what I did was basically like because I'm quite like obsessed about planning and like having like a specific way to do things. So I took a paper and then I wrote down the list of the movies and then I was like, okay, how should I judge them? Okay, how much I can last. I'm like I'm not waiting to the movie to end. For example, like it's giving me some emotions, like photography, like visuals, like technique. So I had like my A4, and I was like assigning like voting, and then I like heading of the result. I was like, okay, yeah, actually these two movies were like my favorites. So it's been quite funny, and also I felt like quite silly because probably I hadn't the knowledge to judge them. And then I was like, yeah, but probably, I mean, this is the way I'm doing it. So let's just follow the flow and let's see what will happen. And so I mean, I feel like that um, the most interesting thing to me was like, okay, um, you don't have any tools to. It's like I don't know. I'm going out to the cinema with my friends, and then after that we're like talking about the movie. So the experience has been to me like this. Um, and what was the next question?
What's next in your career, basically?
So yeah, actually, so I worked in Barcelona for apartamento like 1 year, and actually moved there like 4 years ago. So at the beginning, I was like, no, I want to go back to Milan. I want to be with my friends. I think it's easier. And then I'm like, I'm fine here. I'm really happy. I've been able to build a life. And then when I moved there, I was 30, so I felt like I'm too old to socialize. I'm someone like really shy and was quite not easy to me. But I'm feeling like I want to stay there, and I want to like I would like to buy or to have a space for me to like be able to build things properly. Also like to soldare, like to melt the iron to I'm really like building things every time. So every time I go back to my parents, I'm building things like hammer, wood, and stuff like that. So yeah, I would like to have my own studio and to be able to keep building and creating things.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the lovely words and sharing the experience of being here and being a juror. It's been pleasant to have you here in these days, and I hope it was as pleasant for you as well.
Yeah.
And so, thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you again.